Hey guys, what we're going to be doing today, you guys are going to be finishing your test in class if you haven't already finished. And then what we're going to be doing is we're going to be working with Punnett squares. And hopefully you can hear me. I'm starting to get sick again, so bear with me while I try to squeak out my instructions for today. So what you're going to be doing, you're going to be working with Punnett squares. Now hopefully all of you have watched your video assignment, which was to watch the Punnett squares and take notes over the weekend. If you haven't done that, make sure that you go ahead and check the MP flip site. If it's not working there, make sure you check your Drive folder or your email. So I sent it to you several different ways to make sure that you are ready for today. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be practicing this use of Punnett squares to make sure you really get it and to have a guided practice so you know if you're doing it right or not. So you're going to be going ahead and accessing the Furry Family Genetics worksheet that is in your 7th grade folder. I shared it with you, so you should all have it. And what you need to be doing is you need to make sure you're using this to go ahead and complete your part of the assignment. And so you'll need to make sure you go ahead and bring that up. Then what you'll need to do is you'll need to go ahead and go to the science site. So remember, the science site is MPMS 7. You're going to select the Science tab, so hover over the Science tab, and then you'll go down to the Genetics page because that's what we're going to be working on. Obviously, that's a topic, and so you'll go ahead and select that page. Now, when you go ahead and get to that page, you'll notice that there's a link. It's, I believe, I called it Furry Family or Bunny Activity or something like that. So make sure you go ahead and select that link, and then it'll come to this page. The one thing you'll want to do right away when you get to this page, you'll notice that there's music. And so since there's going to be some students that might be still testing, you really need to make sure that you mute your sound right away, or even before you actually go to this page, it would be best to go ahead and mute your sound so that way you're not disrupting anybody that's taking their test. And then what you'll need to do is you'll need to select play. Now, obviously, you've learned, if you've done your homework, that Punnett squares are a tool to help us predict what the offspring are going to look like. And so you're going to do Punnett squares, but then you're actually going to create these bunnies. And so you'll have to be able to not only complete the Punnett square, but then also be able to read it and select genotypes for a specific phenotype. So we're going to be doing a lot of review today. So once you go ahead and click start, then you're going to obviously come to the section where you're going to get to the introduction of the family. Now you're going to be creating 3 bunnies today. And you'll notice 2 of them are going to be girls and then 1's going to be a boy. So you'll need to go ahead and select names for your bunnies and you'll need to type them in. And then once you've typed them in, you can go ahead and select next to go on to the next stage. Now you'll notice that we have our family portrait, so you can see dad is Hoppity and mother is Hippity. And they're going to be going ahead and having these babies. Now you'll see what mom and dad have for their phenotype and their genotype. And so we're going to be using that information to help us predict what the traits the babies could have. And then you're going to actually select the one that, the outcome of the baby. So you'll see that I went ahead and started working on Geneva, and I started filling in the Punnett square as it should be filled in. If you don't know how to do this, make sure that you go back and review your notes or go back and watch the video on the MP flip site on Punnett squares. Once you go ahead and fill out the Punnett square, though, you'll need to make sure you check your answer. And once you check your answer, it'll show that it gives you an idea that you're correct. And if you're not correct, it will kind of guide you through the process of how to go ahead and correct your answer. So the whole point of this is so that we can make sure that we have a guided way of making sure that we know how to use a Punnett square. Once you go ahead and complete the Punnett square, you do need to make sure that you go ahead and read up here at the top, because so you'll notice that she's supposed to be brown, and so obviously then you have to look at the actual genotypes that are in the Punnett square that she could possibly have based on the parents' genotypes, and then you'll be able to actually select the correct phenotype that she has, which is brown. But once you're done, then you'll go ahead and continue on. Now there is one thing I want to make sure we talk about, because we haven't talked about how to determine gender. And gender is a little bit different. So far we've been talking about traits that are controlled by alleles or genes. But your actual sex, biological sex, is determined by an actual whole chromosome. And 2 out of our 46 chromosomes are called our sex chromosomes. And there is the X chromosome, which is a sex chromosome, and there's a Y chromosome, which is the sex chromosome. And if you happen to have 2 X chromosomes, that means that you are a female. X chromosomes have genes on them that help determine the female characteristics. Obviously, then if you have an X and a Y chromosome, you're a male. And so I want to make sure that we start to really understand the concept. So it all comes down to what dad is able to give. And so if dad gives the X chromosome in the sperm, then you're having a baby girl. If dad gives a Y chromosome in the sperm, then you're having a baby boy. And so I want to make sure we understand this concept. So here we have this Punnett square to kind of give you an idea. It's always 50-50. There's always a 50-50 chance of having a girl or a boy. So it really all comes down to what dad gives. Then here you'll see we have Hoppity. He has an XY because he's a boy. And we have Hippity. She is the mother. She has XX. And so what you have to do is you're going to have to use this information to go ahead and fill out the Punnett square to make sure you understand there's always a 50-50 shot. 2 out of the 4 boxes are going to be big X, big X. 2 out of the 4 boxes are going to be big X, big Y. And then as you're going through the process, you want to make sure you're going ahead and screenshotting. You'll notice on the actual worksheet, it says that you need a screenshot of each of your 3 children once you've completed them, as well as a final portrait, just like this slide here, to go ahead and show that you have completed the activity. Make sure you go ahead and have that completed. So again, here's the schedule for today. If you have not finished your test, you'll need to finish your test first. And so Mr. G is going to be passing out the test to all of you. Once you're done with the test, make sure you give it back to Mr. G so that I can go ahead and assess it and grade it. I most likely will not have them done until Wednesday, just because it takes me a little while to go ahead and go through the ones that you guys finish on Monday. And then what you're going to do is if you didn't complete your monster, remember you have to have your monster profile pictures completed because we're going to use them tomorrow. So if you don't have that done, you need to finish that. If you haven't watched the Punnett Square video, you need to make sure you do that as well. And then lastly, if you are done with all that stuff, that's when you get to start the actual furry family activity. Now, once you finish the furry family activity, those of you who are quick on the go and understand this process, there's also a packet for Punnett Squares to make sure we go one step further, which is going to help you prepare you for Tuesday and Wednesday. And so if you're done with the furry family activity, then you're going to need to go to start working on the packet. This is kind of the plan for today. Make sure that you're using your time wisely so that you don't have as much homework later on in the week. If you have any questions, make sure you ask Mr. G, or you can always access this video that's on the genetics page. I'll see ya tomorrow. Bye, guys.